All right, so today we're diving into the world of project management.
Oh, yeah. Exciting stuff.
But like the real deal, not just,
Not just sticky notes and to-do lists, right?
Exactly. We're going deep on strategy and leadership based on this presentation by Sri Srinivasa.
He's a veteran in the project management world.
Yeah, he presented at the Harvard Business Analytics Program Forum.
Oh, wow. So he knows what he's talking about.
Exactly, and he starts by defining what project management actually is, because it's kind of become a buzzword.
It's easy to throw around.
Totally. So he says it's the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet requirements.
So it's more than just like hoping for the best.
Right. It's about taking what you know
Yeah.
and using it in a structured way.
And having the right tools, obviously.
Yeah, which he gets into later.
Okay.
But the key takeaway here is that it's a process, not just, winging it.
Makes sense.
Like, he specifically mentions these phases:
Mm-hmm.
initiating, planning, executing, controlling, and closing.
Like building a house or something.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
You wouldn't just start laying bricks without a blueprint, would you?
No way. That would be chaos.
Total chaos and a recipe for disaster.
Exactly.
And just like a house, a project is temporary. It has start and a finish.
Right. It's not like the day-to-day operations of a company.
Exactly. So something like a marketing campaign for a new product, that's a project.
It has a defined goal and time frame.
Right. But like ongoing social media marketing, that's not really a project. It's more of an ongoing activity.
I see. So it's about having that clear start and end point.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Now, even though this seems basic, people mix up some key terms all the time,
Oh, yeah. I've definitely been there.
like product, portfolio, program, and project.
It's easy to get those jumbled up.
Yeah, but Srinivasa lays it out really clearly in his presentation.
Oh, good. Let's hear it.
So think about a company developing a new mobile app.
Okay. Got it.
That app, with all its features and its target audience, that's the product.
Right. The thing itself.
Exactly. And then the portfolio is like the bigger picture.
How does that fit in?
So the company's portfolio is all their marketing efforts for all their products and services, social media, email, whatever they're doing.
So it's about how they're presenting themselves to the world.
Right. And they want to make sure all those efforts are aligned with their overall business strategy.
Yeah. So it all feels cohesive.
Exactly. Now, within that marketing portfolio, they might have specific program,
A program for what?
like for launching a new product line, for example.
Oh, okay. So that's more focused, right?
And that program could then include multiple projects,
Oh, I see. Like what?
like developing a website for the new product or creating a series of ads.
So the program is like the umbrella, and the projects are the individual tasks underneath it.
Exactly. It's all about different levels of scope.
That makes a lot of sense.
And to illustrate this whole thing, Srinivasa uses the example of a data science project.
Ooh, getting technical.
Well, it's a good example because it involves a lot of steps.
Okay, so walk me through it.
So you start by defining your goals and objectives, obviously.
Seems straightforward enough.
Right. But you'd be surprised how often people skip this step. Oh, yeah. And then they're trying to solve a problem without even knowing what it is.
Yikes. That's a recipe for disaster, too.
Totally. So once you know what you're aiming for, then you got to collect the data.
Makes sense. Data is kind of important for data science.
It's essential. And Srinivasa really stresses the importance of knowing where your data is coming from.
Why is that?
Because if you're using unreliable data, your whole project is built on a shaky foundation.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Right. It's like garbage in, garbage out.
Makes total sense.
Okay, so you've got your data, but it's probably messy.
Yeah, real-world data is never perfect.
Exactly. So the next step is data cleaning, getting rid of errors and inconsistencies.
The not-so-fun part.
Yeah, it's the grunt work, but it's crucial.
No one likes cleaning, but you gotta do it.
Exactly. So now your data's all cleaned up. What's next?
What do we do with all this clean data?
Now the fun begins. This is where you get to explore the data, look for patterns, test hypotheses.
The detective work.
Exactly. You're basically a data detective.
I like it. What do we do once we've cracked the case?
Well, then you move on to data modeling.
Which is?
It's where you create a representation of the relationships within your data, often using algorithms and stuff.
So you're building a model based on what you found in the data.
Exactly. And this model, it's not just for show.
Right. It's got to do something.
It needs to be deployed, put into action in the real world.
So putting the insights to work.
Exactly. And then, of course, you're constantly optimizing, making tweaks and adjustments based on how the model performs.
It's an ongoing process.
Absolutely, especially in data science, because things are always changing.
That's true, so you always got to be adapting.
Exactly, and this whole example really highlights how project management is iterative.
It's not just a straight line from A to B.
Right, it's about constantly evaluating, adjusting, and improving.
So it's dynamic.
Exactly. And it takes a special kind of person to manage all of that. Which brings us to...
the project manager.
You got it. What makes a great project manager?
Let's hear it.
Well, Srinivasa has a whole list, but organizational skills are obviously key.
That seems like a no-brainer.
It is, but he says it takes more than just being organized to really excel.
Like what?
Communication is huge. A good project manager can explain complex things clearly, manage expectations, and resolve conflicts.
So they need people skills too.
Big time. And they also need to understand the big picture. It's not enough to just focus on the task at hand. They need to see how the project fits into the overall goals of the organization.
So strategic thinking is important.
Exactly. A good project manager can advocate for their project while also making sure it aligns with the company's overall vision.
So it's a balancing act.
It really is. They're managing tasks, leading people, and thinking strategically all at the same time.
Sounds like a challenging role.
It definitely can be, but also incredibly rewarding when you see a project come together successfully.
Absolutely.
And to be successful, you need to be aware of the constraints involved in every project.
Like what?
Every project has limitations, whether it's budget, time, resources, whatever.
Right. Those always come into play.
And then a good project manager knows how to navigate those constraints without compromising the project's goals.
It's about finding creative solutions and making the most of what you have.
Exactly. So it's not just about being organized. It's about being adaptable, resourceful, and a strong leader.
That's a pretty impressive skill set.
It is. And it's why project managers are in such high demand.
Makes sense.
It's like they're juggling a million things at once.
And keeping a smile on their face while they're doing it.
Right. No pressure. But speaking of important things,
What's that?
Srinivasa talks about these critical success factors.
Critical success factors.
Yeah, basically the things that make or break a project.
Okay, I'm listening.
And he lists a bunch, like scope, cost, schedule, risk, resource, quality.
It's like a whole lot to keep track of.
It is. And he also mentions engagement models, communication, and reporting.
So it's not just about the work itself, it's about how you manage the whole process.
Exactly. And these aren't just buzzwords. These factors matter across industries.
So whether you're building a rocket or
opening a bakery.
Exactly. It all applies.
Right. And he also emphasizes how important it is to understand the project environment.
What does he mean by that?
So, like, the organizational culture, the stakeholders involved, their expectations.
It's not enough to just, like, do the work in a vacuum.
Exactly. You got to be aware of the ecosystem the project exists in.
That makes sense. Otherwise, you're going to run into roadblocks.
Exactly. It's like you can have the best laid plans, but if you don't understand the political landscape, you're going to hit a wall.
Totally.
Now, speaking of tools.
Oh, yeah. The fun part.
What comes to mind when you think project management tools?
Gantt charts.
Gantt charts.
Those things are everywhere.
They are. Or like sticky notes all over the place.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that too.
But Srinivasa, he emphasizes the importance of something called a project charter.
A project charter? What's that?
So he describes it as the project's constitution, which I love.
The Constitution? That's a pretty strong word.
Right. It's the foundational document that outlines everything.
Okay, so like what kind of things?
The purpose of the project, the scope, deliverables, stakeholders, timelines, all of it.
So it's like the rule book for the whole project.
Exactly. It keeps everyone on the same page.
That's so important.
Right. It helps prevent misunderstandings and those dreaded scope creeps.
Oh, yeah, those are the worst.
The worst. You try to do like 10 extra things that weren't part of the original plan.
And then everything gets delayed and the budget goes out the window.
Exactly. So the project charter is there to define everything up front and prevent that from happening.
Sounds like a must-have.
Absolutely. And then to illustrate all of this, Srinivasa uses a really fun example.
What's that?
A marketing campaign for a donut shop.
Donuts. Okay, now we're talking.
Right. It's a great example because it shows that these principles apply even to something as, seemingly simple as a donut shop.
Because even a donut shop needs a good marketing plan.
Exactly. You still need to define your target audience, develop your brand, create marketing materials.
And make sure people actually want to buy your donut.
Exactly. So how would we approach this from a project management perspective?
Well, first, we got to figure out what we want to achieve with this campaign, right?
Right, like, are we trying to build brand awareness, drive foot traffic, or what?
All important goals.
They are. And how does this campaign tie into the overall business objectives?
That's a good point. Like, do we want to be the premium donut shop in town or the go-to spot for a quick and affordable treat?
Exactly. So once you've nailed down your goals, then it's on to planning.
Planning, what does that involve?
So this is where you get into the specifics, like, who are we targeting with this campaign?
Okay, and what's our message? What's going to make people crave our donuts?
Exactly. And what marketing channels are we going to use?
Mm-hmm.
Social media, flyers.
What about those little ads in the newspaper?
Those could work. And, of course, we got to set a budget.
Can't forget about the budget.
Right. Because even the most amazing marketing campaign won't matter if we go broke in the process.
True that.
Okay, so we've got our goals, our plan, now what?
Time to make it happen. Bring on the donuts.
Not so fast. We still need to design and develop everything.
Oh, right. Like what?
So this is where we create the visual identity of the campaign, the logos, the colors.
And don't forget those mouth-watering donut photos.
Exactly. We need those close-ups that make people drool.
Get those donuts camera ready.
Exactly. And once we have all the pieces in place, then it's launch time.
The big day.
Exactly. And this is where a good project manager really shines. Because no matter how well you plan, things will inevitably come up.
Oh, yeah. There are always surprises.
Always. And a good project manager anticipates challenges, stays flexible, and keeps the team motivated.
It's like being a coach and a cheerleader at the same time.
Exactly. And after the campaign launches, the work isn't over, is it?
What else is there to do? The donuts are out there.
Well, now we need to analyze the results, see what worked, what didn't.
Oh, right. So we can do even better next time.
Exactly. It's all about continuous improvement, which brings us back to those critical success factors.
It all ties together.
It does. It's a cycle of planning, executing, evaluating, and improving. And it's so tempting to just like check the box and move on to the next thing.
Oh, yeah. Especially when you're busy.
But Srinivasa, he really emphasizes the importance of the retrospective.
What now?
The retrospective, after the project's done.
Oh, right. Like a debrief.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's easy to skip over it.
It can feel like, okay, we're done. Let's move on.
Right. But he says it's crucial for continuous improvement.
So what? We just sit around and talk about what went well.
It's more than that. It's about analyzing what worked, what didn't, and why.
So we can learn from our mistakes.
Exactly. And avoid making them again in the future.
That makes sense because even the best laid plans.
Right. There's always room for improvement.
And it's easier to see those areas for improvement after the fact.
Totally. When you're caught up in the thick of it, it's hard to be objective.
It's like trying to fix a car while it's still running.
Exactly. You need to take that step back, hit the pause button.
Okay, I'm convinced retrospectives are important.
They are. And Srinivasa, he actually compares it to a military operation.
A military operation.
Yeah, he says, just like a military unit wouldn't launch a new mission without analyzing the last one.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Right. They need to figure out what went right, what went wrong, so they can improve their tactics.
It's about learning from experience.
Exactly. And that applies to any field, whether you're talking about project management or
baking donuts.
Or baking donuts.
There's always something to learn.
Always. And that's what I love about this whole discussion. It's like
What's that?
project management, it seems kind of dry, right?
Lots of spreadsheets and charts.
Exactly. But it's actually full of these little nuggets of wisdom that apply to so many areas of life.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's about setting goals, planning strategically, communicating effectively, adapting to change.
Being a good leader.
Exactly. And those are valuable skills no matter what you're doing.
Couldn't agree more.
So, to everyone listening, I think you're well equipped to tackle your next project.
Whether it's a work thing or a personal goal.
Exactly. Launching a new product, planning a wedding.
Or opening that donut shop.
The possibilities are endless.
And with a little project management know-how, you can achieve anything.
Exactly. So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
Project management. It's more than just Gantt charts and deadlines.
It's a way of thinking.
It is. It's about approaching challenges with structure and intentionality.
Being organized and knowing what you want to achieve.
Exactly. And it's about bringing people together, working towards a common goal.
Or of teamwork.
Exactly. So keep exploring, keep experimenting, and most importantly,
don't be afraid to fail.
Yes. Embrace the challenges, learn from the setbacks, and celebrate the successes.
Because that's how we grow.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of project management.
It's been fun.
Until next time.